I'm gonna give you 4 of the best special strength exercises that you can utilize for throwing the discus, and we're gonna start right now. What's up, everybody? It's Dane Miller from throwsuniversity.com. If this is your first time to the channel and you wanna become a better thrower, like, subscribe, smash the notification bell so we can help you toss some bombs. So recently, we just returned from the Tokyo 2020 Olympics where Sam Mattis placed 8th at the Olympics in the discus. He is the highest placing discus thrower from the US in the Olympics since 2004 when Casey Malone, I believe, got 5th or 6th place. And one of those key factors behind this entire growth of Sam Mattis on that international stage is some of the specific work that we've done with special strength training. And so initially we've got to go into what's the history of special strength work? What is special strength? And I think that I was fortunate enough to have trained under Anatoly Bondarchuk, sort of the godfather of special strength training. And one of those big factors that he utilized was we would always do a throw session, and then we would do a lifting session, and we would follow that lifting session up with some movement that would mimic the actual throw. So from a strength component, it might mimic the actual rotation, it might mimic the speed, or getting close to mimicking the speed. And so my thought process when I interpret this now, after over a decade of coaching, is that special strength is essentially that bridge between throwing in the circle, the weight room strength that you're gonna be developing, and then that's that bridge. It's that piece in the middle. It's sort of like the keystone in the middle, right? No pun intended, as we're sitting here in the Keystone State, Pennsylvania. So anyway, what we can think about is that if we can bridge those big gains that we're getting in the weight room, you know, using someone like Sam. Sam has front squatted 230 kilos, right? He's bench pressed 515 in pounds. He's jerked 500 pounds. He's push pressed 200 kilos. He's extremely strong from an absolute strength perspective. So what movements have we utilized for him to increase that special strength so it can transfer really well into the circle? So how can we take that absolute strength and create this twitchier movement that then goes directly into throwing that 2K really far so he can get 8th at the Olympics? And that takes us into those 4 key exercises. So that 4th exercise, and we have actually never done this specifically with Sam, but we've done this with other athletes here, is bowling pin standing throws, or even just bowling pin variations. So anything that has a handle, you could think about like a D ball that you're throwing, not the drug. You can think about a swinging medicine ball with a long rope that you could throw, a bowling pin that you can throw into a wall or into a net or into a tarp or into a field. And you might have 10 bowling pins and you just rip right through this, hitting it from a big standing throw position or half turn position or South African. But you get through that position and maybe you use that bowling pin and you take 40 to 50 reps in a short period of time. So it's not as focused on the actual specific technique, it's more focused on almost mimicking a strength training workout. And so you can use that bowling pin to try and lengthen that finish, to try and strengthen your trunk, to try and strengthen the shoulder. Now, one of the big key factors when we're doing special strength work is that we don't want to blast our shoulder. We don't want to lead to pec strain. We don't want to lead to lower back pain. So we've got to be aware of that as we bring that into our training. We don't want to go skyrocketing our volume of training right away. Just slowly input this. And I would recommend starting with a simpler movement right off the bat with that standing throw, and then getting into half turns or getting into, you know, a step and stand or shuffle, anything along those lines. But utilize that, you know, 2 to 3 times a week and see how it feels and see what it does after 4 to 6 weeks to your actual discus throw. That 3rd key exercise is a kettlebell throw, and this is actually movements that we have used with Sam, movements that we've used with other discus throwers, is we've taken a 15-pound kettlebell, a 25-pound kettlebell, and we've actually thrown this for distance from our discus circle, which has a net, and actually go over the shot sector. And so you could use that weight, and this is a movement that I actually stole directly from Filip Milanov back in 2017, his big year on the international stage where he was consistently throwing, it looked like a 10-kilo kettlebell, and he would throw that from a South African, from a full position, get to the front and do a non-reverse. And so what we were doing with Sam a couple years ago is we would play around with doing some standing throws, and then after a certain point we would do a little bit of a step in half turn, all with that non-reverse. And the whole goal was to spend 4 to 6 weeks, really developing that strong finish, really developing that holding position with his left side so that he can rotate everything forward and actually smash that finish. Now, the one downfall behind the kettlebell throws is it is really, really heavy. So you're gonna catch it really deep, but you've gotta be aware that, again, if you start to feel your pec or your shoulder a little bit, back off, take some time away from it, and make sure that you let your body adapt and recover. So utilize kettlebell throws, I would say, with something a little bit heavier along these lines, once or twice a week. Focus on that long grounded finish and increasing that rotational strength at the front. Now, the second key exercise that we'll utilize for special strength training for discus throws is a side medicine ball throw. So this is gonna be really, really simple, and this is something that we do all the time, all the time. You can throw the side medicine ball for distance. You can throw the side medicine ball for a reaction period when you catch off the wall and you react really, really quickly. You can change the weight. You can use a 4 kilo medicine ball. You can use a 7 kilo medicine ball, and they're all gonna have a unique place in your training. So it's really, really important to learn how to feel that big stretch, that lengthening across the trunk, and how we're gonna finish rapidly, transferring into that transfer leg so that we can understand how energy moves forward on the finish. And it's a great movement to really feel that good strength, that good power, that good rotational elasticity that you need at the front of the circle with the discus. And I recommend 2 to 3 times a week utilizing these side medicine balls. Now, before I go even further into that number one exercises, don't use all of these in 1 week. Play around with it program to program and try to figure that out. And if you do need help with that, you can pick up our Throws U pre-built program that's down below in our description. You can click on the link, head over to Throws University, and we're gonna have some of these in your training program, so it's gonna be a little bit easier for you to adapt this into your overall periodization. That number one exercise that we like to utilize for special strength movements for discus is a banded stand throw. So we love to do banded stands all the time. Okay, so we'll do banded stands, we'll do half turn stands. And one of the things is we use our Power Elastic bands that you can click on the link down below, pick up a Power Elastic today that has a handle, so it's really easy to mimic. It's really easy to feel that big stretch. And that's one of the key factors behind using a band, is that it gives you a little bit more tension on the finish. So that's gonna help your mind muscle connection. That's gonna help transfer over to a better technical finish. Now, one of those key factors when we're doing a banded stand, I love to do banded stands with that full big rotation on the finish. And then when you get to that finish, let's say you do 7 to 10 banded standing finishes, when you get to the finish, you can do pumps here to really try and feel the grounded finish, to try and feel that left side of your abs doing a whole bunch of work that's connected into that pec. And I think that that is what's gonna help lead to that faster finish and a greater technical finish as well. So that's a big factor here, is that all of these movements transfer, they're the bridge between the weight room and the throwing circle. So if we can get stronger and more explosive in the finish, and we have better technique, that's gonna transfer to big monster throws. And that's gotta be that key factor here, is that that's the whole goal. We build up the big engine in the weight room, we work some absolute strength, and then we increase that technical coordination by utilizing special strength almost on a regular basis, and that's gonna lead to those monster throws so that you can be the next one that places top 8 at the Olympics. If you need help with your programming, with your training, head over to throwsuniversity.com. Until next time, guys, peace.